Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Brahma Mera Striparan Takare Banushashi Bhumi Suto Buddha Sha Guru Sha Shukra Shani Rahu Keteva Sarve Graha Shantikara Bhavantu. Om. Well, greetings and welcome to another episode of Cosmic Kev 100. This is your weekly astro video zine where we take the signs of the zodiac, and whether your rising sign, your sun sign, or your moon is there, and we give you a weekly forecast. So I want to encourage you to like and share this video, and maybe ring the bell notification. I definitely want you to subscribe. Let's look at the sky today. So we'll see, looking at the sky today, we've got the moon in the constellation of Cancer, and this is true in both systems. And the lunar mansion that the moon is in, according to Jyotish, the Vedic astrology of India, is known as Pusha or Pushama. Now Pushama is ruled by Saturn, but Pushama's ruling deity is Brisapati. Now Lord Brisapati is another guise of Jupiter. So here we have the two wisest planets, Jupiter and Saturn, giving us guidance. What they say about Pusha is that it will soften any malefic tendency of any planet, and it will enhance the benefic qualities of benefic planets. So this is really an uplifting kind of beginning to the weekend today. So we can keep that in mind. And one of the symbols for Pusha or Pushama is the udders of a cow, because it's always nurturing people. There's this quality of the Divine Mother that wants to nurture, and we see this so well illustrated in Pusha or Pushama. So that's where that is at today. So in the Vedic zodiac, the sun would still be in Taurus at this time, but this is mostly a Western astrology show, which is what most people in the West are primarily familiar with. But I like to bring that old school Vedic knowledge to people so you can get more familiar and comfortable with it. Venus just last week moved into Taurus, and so that's good. That helps Venus in its own sign in Western astrology, brings something nice. Sun being in Gemini right now, that's key phrases I communicate. So, and that's been difficult because Mercury's been retrograde, but guess what? Mercury went direct today, folks, so we're doing really good right now. And we have Saturn, though, is going retrograde. So we got done with one retrograde, the next day we get another retrograde. So Saturn retrograde. Well, like I've said before, any planet that's retrograde is actually going closer to the Earth. And what happens is, when you're going fast on a highway and you pass a car, it almost looks like it's going backwards. That's really what a retrograde planet is. It's just slowing down. And because it's slowing down, its energy is closer with us. So, Mercury's telling us, slow down, pay attention, be conscious. That's really hard to do because the nature of Mercury is quick movement. It moves through signs quicker than any other planet except for the moon. And so we have to bear that in mind as we're doing things. Now Saturn is the slowest moving planet, and Saturn's going retrograde. Saturn's gaze is about discipline, it's about maturity, it's about achieving hard fought for goals. And on the malefic side, it can bring depression. It's considered a malefic planet. It can bring embarrassment. It can bring the law down on you. It can bring struggles. It feels like you're always taking 3 steps forward but 2 steps back. You're still making progress, but it's very hard fought for progress. It's kind of like walking through mud or quicksand or something to kind of get to where you're going. It's not that easy. But with that said, you know, it is in Aquarius, and so if we rely on each other as a community, a lot of these problems will dissipate. They'll be lessened. So, you know, many hands makes light work. So we're going to go sign by sign to your horoscope, starting with you, Aries. Greetings, Aries. Welcome to your horoscope. Now, Mars is in your first house. First house is a place where you have full conscious access of whatever graha or planet going through. Graha is a Sanskrit name for the planets, and it literally means grabber or grasper. And that's what happens with these planets, is they grasp onto our energy. So Sun in Gemini for Aries, it's like that's third house. That means we're dealing with communication issues. We're dealing with our siblings, particularly brothers usually if you have them, and particularly younger siblings. It could be sisters as well. The third house is also the library. It's where we contain information. You know, with these long days, you don't want to be out, on the net. I'd say be in nature as much as you can. Even if it's at night, now that the nights are warmer, you know, enjoy that night sky. Look at it with your own naked eyes. Since Jupiter is there with you right now, Aries people are getting a natural boost. They're getting luckier, things are better. But one of the things about Jupiter is it also puts us through growing pains, you know, so we have a lot of growth to do. There might be some tragedy in your community of some aspect, because the 11th house is our community and it's our wealth, and with Saturn there, things kind of slow down and we're really not sure what's happening with our communities. And so reaching out to others is crucial at this time, and I think that this weekend would be a good weekend for you to do that. Well, greetings, Taurus. Welcome to your horoscope. Gemini rules your second house, you know, and second house is about the voice. It's about your face. It's about what happens to you, especially between like 7 and 14 when you're growing up. And this is sort of where we shape our image, our self-image gets shaped during these years. It's also about money. I think that gets overemphasized a lot of times in Vedic astrology, but it's really about our values. Sometimes we associate family too with the second house. And the second house is a house like Taurus. It's almost like Taurus gets like 2 months because of the sun moving into the second house during Gemini time. Venus is in your first house. So Venus brings love, it brings comfort, it can bring a sense of luxury. The shadow side of it is it can make us lazy. It can make us really lusty and not always look at the consequences of what that lust could do. Uranus is there. Uranus is a very unconventional view about life and everything that's happening in a lot of ways. When Uranus was discovered, there were a lot of nations that went through revolution in that period of time. So, and of course, you know, what we went through during World War II was the last time Uranus was in Taurus, you know. So we had countries like Spain, Portugal, Italy, Germany, Japan lining themselves up with fascism. And there was even a struggle here in the United States with that. A lot of people don't, you know, we tend to erase or not look at the darker sides of our own personal history, and it's important that we get honest with ourselves, you know. And Taurus, I'm going to say that to you personally because I get it. You like to present a nice picture, but the reality is we all have a shadow side, and if we acknowledge that, it helps it make it a lot easier so we can have compassion for others. All right. Well, greetings, Gemini, and welcome to your horoscope. So, this is an ultimate renewal. Last week we had the new moon in your first house, so you're moving forward. Mercury's not retrograde. Mercury's going direct, so this should give you this kind of feeling like, okay, I can think clearly now, you know. Some of the brain fog is dying, and some of the gray matter that's working and sparking off is doing really well. Venus in the 12th house is sort of like, we need more rest. We need to relax. Mercury's in the 12th house. We need to pay attention to our dreams. There's messages in our dreams and they're trying to teach us something right now. And really, it's sort of like Gemini is sort of can be in Western astrology sort of like the town crier. It's the journalist, the writer, the one who provides information. There's a scholarly aspect. There's also this desire for friendship and looking for soulmate and their twin, so to speak. Now, with Mars and Jupiter in the 11th house, there's a lot of social activity right now. And things that happen as far as, your love life and information, they're kind of being put to rest. You don't have that firm grasp on those things because they're in the 12th house, the house of loss. But in dreams, in the dream world, those things will come to life. We're working with Neptune in the 10th house, the career house. So bringing a higher aesthetic and a sense of agape love is crucial to getting out what you really want to get out, what you really need to put out there. All right. Well. Greetings, Cancer. Welcome to your horoscope. Well, Gemini's in the 12th house, Gemini's in the house of loss. Now, I've heard from other astrologers, sometimes they look at the 12 houses. This is where we harvest all of our deeds we've done through the solar year. 12th house can be a house of loss. This is also a place where we need to release things, tie up loose ends, pay our bills, get out of debt. Socially, it's kind of exciting with Uranus and Venus and Mercury all in the 11th house. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of passion and excitement among your friends and among your social groups. Now, your midheaven with Mars and Jupiter right now, it means that any kind of career move you make, like looking into new jobs or new ways of running your business, they're going to go better. You're going to do better than you thought you would have originally by doing this. And it's not been an easy time with Saturn in the 8th house. I'll just admit that. Saturn in the 8th house, there's things that are limiting you that are not really within your control. And one of the things to do, one of the remedies to do that is to fast on a Saturday, help someone who's homeless or poor by giving them something black or dark blue or even cast iron, saying a mantra to Lord Cheni like Om Cheni Yanama, Om Cheni Yanama. That's like the easiest one, but there's more. I think that's enough for now. We're going to go right over into Leo. So, greetings, Leo. Welcome to your horoscope. So Moon moves into Leo today, in late morning, and that gives you a boost. I've noticed, like, whatever moon sign, when the moon is on your sun sign, it gives you a sense of popularity. When the moon's in your first house, it can give you a sense of popularity. When the moon hits your own moon sign, it can also increase popularity and help you with your mental and emotional aptitude. So, here we are. Gemini is symbolic of the 11th house for Leo. So that's your social life. And I always think, late May, June, Leos are going to a lot of parties, They're seeing people. They're doing things. There's a lot more career pressure, though, right now. So even if you're a teacher or in school, like a lot of Leos are, there's still some unfinished career business that has to be looked at right now. And there's a lot of opportunities. And a lot of times with Leo as your rising sign, Taurus is your midheaven, it's like you're a beautifier. You might work with cooking. You might work with art. You might work with being a musician or establishing some type of beautifying work or experience. So that's a good thing to look at. Taking action on your spiritual life. That is so clear for you, Leo. Right now, if you've been ignoring your spiritual life, you don't meditate, you don't pray or anything like that, start a practice. You'll have the motivation. If you need a teacher, if you need a guide, the guide will show up. If you've had an estranged relationship with your father and you want to heal that, now is the time to work on that. This is going to bring about a better relationship with your father. And so I see overall really good things. And, you know, because there's a lot of outer world distractions right now, the meditation is going to help. It'll give you that inner life, which, you know, there's no planets down here, and that's kind of where your inner life is right now. So you've got a lot of freedom to work on that. Greetings, Virgo. Welcome to your horoscope. Well, as Virgos, Virgo risings, can we all just breathe a sigh of relief that, that Mercury is direct now? Yeah, because that's the good news right now. So let's talk about Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn in the Aquarius is in the 6th house. It's kind of like a Virgo house in a lot of ways. And the 6th house is opposite the 12th. So in a lot of ways, the volunteer work we do, the work we do helping others, the work we do cleaning up our diets, having better sleep habits, health habits, exercising, they actually help us make good karma for ourselves. And Saturn wants us to be disciplined. He wants us to eat only good food. He really wants us to exercise, do yoga, do what we can to maintain healthy bodies, because, you know, Saturn is a structure. Saturn is what rules our bones, and so we want that strong foundation. Saturn is the first chakra, so it's going to help a lot. Mercury in Taurus, well, I mean, that's the 9th house, and that's where Uranus and Venus is right now. And it's like, what that tells me is that you're inspired to learn. Virgos are really studious people. They're very curious about information, and they want to get things right. That ultimately it is. There's a certain purity about Virgo. They say it's the virgin, but it's like a purity that, you know, it loves being a naturalist, not having clothes on and being in nature, sunbathing, and just having that freedom to have that unencumbered self, you know, that pure self, and getting into that notion of purity. And it's also relating to nature more, being in tune with nature, and being able to go out in the wilderness. Now, Gemini time for a Virgo, you know, I mean, I think of Gemini as more like the macrocosm, Virgo is more of the microcosm, looking at little details. It's real important to get the big picture, you know, as a Virgo. And not get super caught up with little nitpicking critical stuff. But I mean, I've got a brother who's a plane mechanic. You know, every single detail has to be perfect. Costs somebody's life. Same thing with people in the medicine industry, surgeons, pharmacists. Every single thing has to be in the right measurement, the right clinical touch, or it's going to cost somebody its life. So we need that kind of micro sensitivity that Virgo offers. And this is a good time for you to work on your career. There's a lot of transformation in your life. You know, Mars and Jupiter in the 8th house. So when Jupiter transits your 8th house, though, other people are willing to help you. So don't be so I'm a self-made woman or self-made man that you don't ask for the help you need right now, because that'll actually ultimately, when somebody gives you help, it makes their karma better. You're giving somebody else an opportunity to help themselves while they're helping you. Greetings, Libra. Welcome to your horoscope. I mean, Gemini time is a good time for you for the most part, because it's another air sign. And Gemini occupies your 9th house. 9th house helps us learn the more difficult things, the higher learning. 9th house helps us with travel. 9th house helps us with a relationship with our teachers, a relationship with our grandchildren, if we have grandchildren, certainly a relationship with our fathers, and any people that are giving us a higher philosophy, counselors, spiritual leaders. We will find them in the 9th house. And so that's something to focus on right now. As far as relationships go, Jupiter being in the 7th house, this is pretty good for women as a whole, because they say Jupiter sometimes could be the sign of the husband. Mars is there. You know, one of my teachers says that actually, you know, in Western astrology, I've heard that 7th house is a house of open enemies. So, I mean, some people might be more brazen to call you out on your BS. And one of the mythos of shadow side of Libra is that, oh, everything's nice. I'm always nice. I never, you know, I'm always waiting for someone else to make the move. Well, that's not a very good way to live, especially as a cardinal sign. You're actually supposed to be initiating things. So how do you initiate justice? Saturn's in the 5th house. Saturn is going retrograde there. This is like difficulties you've had with your children. How do you address those? I mean, we want to give them all, you know, popsicles, lollipops, and sugary cold cereals, but ultimately these things are not going to help them. You know, they might temporarily give them a sense of satisfaction. We need to reward people with things that are real. You know, and in our hearts we need to be real with ourselves, and that's really the lesson that I'm getting this week. It looks like there'll be some parties this weekend for you to attend, and that could be fun. And you're going through a lot of transformation. These planets in Taurus, I mean, they're all in your 8th house. They could be kicking your butt. Just go easy on yourself, and but be mindful and motivated to do the right thing. Greetings, Scorpio, and welcome to your horoscope. Okay. Well, I mean, Gemini occupies your 8th house. So, in a sense, kind of like Taurus having Gemini occupy the 2nd house, it's like, well, Gemini helps you see yourself in another light. And so Scorpio is a sign of transformation. Its key phrase is I create. So here we got fixed water. Fixed water reflects everything. Fixed water in a lot of ways is extremely sensitive. Now, Mars' influence on Scorpio gives a sense of independence and a sense of leadership. Pluto gives it insights and looking deeper than just what's on the surface. So these two things are happening. So we'll look at Mars in Aries. So Mars in Aries, that occupies your 6th house. That means, along with Jupiter, that means that actually there's a lot of opportunities for you to do volunteer and service work that's going to make the world a better place, especially if it's oriented towards ecology and improving the environment. Relationship-wise, there's just a lot to negotiate. Communication with Mercury, the love situation, the sensual needs of Venus, and what keeps a relationship fresh and inspiring. That's where Uranus comes in. Always good to look at. Sun in the 8th house. It's not about you. You know, that's the first thing I'd say. It's, you know, it never is. You know, we think about the 4 agreements one time, and one of the things it says in the 4 agreements is that don't take anything personally. You know, that's a really hard thing to do because we've all got egos. But allow other people to do their things, maybe allow other people to be empowered. That's going to help you this week. I'd say this weekend it looks good in the sense that there's going to be some ways for you to express your karma to the public that show your good talents and skills and abilities. Well, hello Sagittarius, and welcome to your horoscope. Well, if there's one sign I always say that does the best with Aries, it's Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius and Gemini, since the Sun's in Gemini right now, Gemini occupies your 7th house. So we're looking at ourselves like, what kind of partner am I? What's it like to be in a friendship with me? What's it like to employ me? You know, these are the things to take into consideration right now. You want to work the best you can, and you want to show your honest, true soul in all your relationships. Now, it looks like a pretty fun week, you know, because we're getting the moon's going into Leo. That's going into your 9th house. So this is a good weekend for travel for Sagittarius. Sagittarius likes to travel. And Sagittarius loves knowledge, loves higher knowledge. So this is a great time to do some exploring, a great time to travel. And, you know, with Neptune in your 4th house, it's like, take care of that inner life, you know. Give yourself some love. Give yourself some hugs. You know, Mom and Dad weren't able to give most of us everything we really needed. Sometimes we have to do that for ourselves, you know. And that's a good practice. With all the planets in your 6th house right now, bringing love into the community. Any kind of volunteer work. It's going to help your karma. It's going to lift you up. All right. Well, Greetings, Capricorn, and welcome to your horoscope. So, got Saturn in the second house. So you're dealing with money. You're dealing with maybe needing some dental work or a new pair of glasses, or you just want to have somebody give you a neck massage. All those things are fine. Right now, since Saturn is in that second house, it's like we want good, honest money that reflects such good works in such good ways. We've got Mars and Jupiter in the fourth house. So like Mars and Jupiter in the fourth house might mean you need to move. It might mean you need to sell your car, or that you're being restless about where you're living. And so there's this certain thing that's uneasy. On the bright side, though, there's Uranus, Venus, and Mercury all in the fifth house. So if you have children, chances are good they're going to do good, and their lives can be improved right now. If you're a Capricorn, you're helping them. Sun in Gemini. Gemini's sixth house. Gemini is teaching you the value of helping others, working with small pets, uncles and aunts, doing the volunteer work, making your karma better by donation, hard work, fasting, good diet. And this weekend's a little bit intense. I would just mostly lay low and do the spiritual work, pay your bills, all of that. All right. Greetings, Aquarius. Welcome to your horoscope. Okay, so, Saturn in a lot of ways is a karaka, or it's activated, does really well in the 12th house. And when Saturn's in the first house, it's not that much fun usually. It's like Saturn is about aging. And it's not like aging's bad, but, depends on what you're doing when you're young and middle age, how well you're going to age in a lot of ways, and other factors in your karma. I mean, things happen to people. So I wouldn't judge anybody. Ultimately, Saturn's ultimate lesson is compassion. That we care about others, that we don't want to increase suffering for anyone else, even while we are in suffering. And so right now you're grasping what it means to be a more mature person, reaching those goals. And with Saturn retrograde in the first house, there might be some delays on the long-term goals that you're going for. Now Gemini for Aquarius, it's a nice sign. It's in the fifth house, so it's motivating the inner teacher within you. It's bringing soul purpose and truth. It helps you with your relationship with your children, so that can get to be a little bit happier. And I think this weekend looks like it's somewhat romantic, and there's opportunity for good relations. And you're in a more introspective place as an Aquarius right now, so you're looking at your inner life. All right. So, here we go. Greetings, Pisces. Welcome to your horoscope. Always in the flow with Pisces, it's a generational planet. I mean, it takes years for Pisces to go from one sign to another. I think it's on like a 180-year cycle, 182-year cycle. Maybe it's 160. I'm not exactly sure, but it's long. It's it's over 160 years. That much I know. And this is where we get vision. We get the best visions. Some say that Pisces brings us agape love in Neptune. With Neptune brings us agape love as well. And Pisces, we're a lot about release. So we're kind of in a flow for releasing things. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the second house here with Mars and Jupiter. So doing practical work, maybe you have tools you don't need, vehicle, you could sell it, you could make some money. Wealth is coming your way. There's people that can teach you how to do better with your finances, and you'll make more wealth. These planets in Taurus are in the third house, including Mercury and Venus. So your communication gets better. Your relationship with your neighbors and your siblings can get better. There's a lot of inspiration for you right now. Sun in Gemini is about your personal life. It's about your relationship to your mother or your parents in general, older adults, your heritage, where you live. Where do you find personal happiness? Explore that personal happiness. I'd say this weekend would be a good weekend to take care of home projects and stuff. There'll be more time for romance, on Monday and Tuesday. That will be better, or even career things that you need to deal with, and taking care of long-term goals. So all in all, I'll just do a little recap here this week. We've got Mercury direct. So we're getting a good flow of information once again, and we can buy, it's safe to buy technology, folks. The other thing is Saturn's gone retrograde Saturday. We're going to have to look at what our limits are and some of the hardest challenges we face, especially in the social sphere, in our communities, in all of our relationships. And whatever we can do to help uplift each other during this time, it's going to be multiplied. I am so grateful that you were here. Thank you for being here with me. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, ring the bell notification. I'm looking forward to being with you next week. Cosmic Kev 100 Astrology. Thanks for being here.